Greetings, traders. Today is our special audit day for Boomerang Day Trader from the period from 2/24 to 3/9/2016. It's going to cover 10 sessions of Boomerang Trader. I'm going to show you the exact trade setups. Before we get started, it's important to understand the risk disclosure and statement here. Don't trade with money you can't afford to lose, and realize that trading is very high risk and only risk capital should be employed. So with that in mind, what I'm going to do now is explain to you how the Boomerang trade system works in very simple terms. And then what I'll do is I'll start rapidly going through all of the trades. And the reason I say rapidly because it's 10 sessions and I don't want it to get too long and grueling for you. And if you have any questions about any of the setups, what you can do is attend one of our live Boomerang training sessions, which occur every second Wednesday every 2 weeks. So you can join on the blog there at boomerangtrader.com and sign up and you can receive the notices. So first of all, let me explain this. This is an audit done by me who understands Boomerang very well, so I can do it very effectively. These signal dots here, this is the trade signal line here. This thin dash line is called the dynamic trend band number 1, and this thicker one is called dynamic trend band number 2. I'm just going to leave my cursor on now because I'm going to be using that when I point out the setups here. What we do is we look for a trade channel to open up here, which is this buy or sell arrows, and we look for a pullback to the signal line, which is marked by, in the case on the sell side in a sell channel, a yellow dot, and on the buy side a blue dot. You see that? Now, the very specific rules for trading with Boomerang are very simple. Here's what it is. We look for the dynamic trend bands to either match color or be within 1.5 spread of each other before a crossover or after a crossover occurs. We then trade a pullback to the signal line unless what is called a fat channel has occurred, and that's where the market makes usually 3 to 4 long spike moves off the opening trade channel. And that's the only rule basically. We try not to trade against a flat dynamic trend band or a very steep one because that won't follow the rules. The rule requires that we have a nice open channel with a brand new market force on that side. Now there is a special video on the blog that shows exactly the rules and goes a little slower in detail. I'm going to move very quickly today here because like I said, I've got 10 sessions to do. I'm going to mark them, record them so you can see it here, and then I'll give you the grand total when we're all done. So let's get started. This is the first session going back 2 weeks ago. This is a West Coast chart. This is mini NASDAQ. Boomerang Day Trader works on any active futures trading, stock, or ETF. Any active higher volume contract is going to do very well, especially in the futures market, gold, crude oil, all the currencies, any of the U.S. stock indices are really excellent to use, and I'm showing mini NAS here, which is my favorite day trading contract here. Now, so the rules I just gave you, it's really that simple. We're going to look for a crossover to occur or a matching dynamic trend bands. It really comes down to that. Now, there is one modification. That is, if a channel gets going and there is no pullback to the signal line, because Boomerang will mark up to 6 pullbacks to the signal line, and it doesn't occur before that, we can take a pullback to the Cobra right exactly where the dynamic trend bands are crossing. So I will explain that when we get to it, but I'm going to just show you the Boomerang trades and I'm going to mark them off here as we go. Now, as the market opened up here on this day, now this is 2/24, so you can look at your own charts and you can compare to see that I'm showing you that exact case. Now, one thing important to remember too, that these signal line dots, once Boomerang shows a new trade channel opening and this candle closes and that prints, when those dots appear in the signal line, it's going to mark exactly that those hit the trade signal line. It's not like they're going to ever move if you refresh the chart or go back a couple months or a couple years. They're not going to move. They were here. They're fixed in this chart. So really the audit of Boomerang can be done easily on a still chart because the dots show that the signal line was hit. The rules apply. The rules are that we're going to capture a 3-point gain or a 5-point stop. And it's very rare to see a stop get hit, as you'll see shortly. So once you know these rules, and you see that these dots are fixed on the line. There's really nothing that anyone can do to try to fudge the rules or make it any different. So you'll see the exact proof of the Boomerang trade system and how accurate it is. So let's get started. Now, arguably here we have a buy arrow opening here, and the dynamic trend bands matched for a millisecond right here on this pullback to the signal line at 09, and they jammed up to 13, giving us 3 points. But I'm not going to count that trade because it probably occurred, but because this was a big spike candle, the pullback to the signal line may have occurred within a fast spike in this candle, and you may not have been able to get in. So we'll just skip that one for now. Here's our first trade channel opening here in a pullback to signal line, and now they go for 3 points. So what I'm going to do is mark a slash under the positive there. You see how that works? Okay, now we're going to go through rapid fire here. Now here's a crossover here, right here between, there's a 1.5 point spread right here, 90 half, 90 even, you see down on the far right side, and 90.75. So there's a 1.5 point spread or less here. So this is a pullback signal line. This would have been an authorized trade to take here, 96.75, and up they go for 3 points. So I'm going to mark a second slash here. You see, pretty simple so far, right? There's nothing I can do to change these results or fudge on them or anything. The rules are rules. They're fixed in concrete, and the signal line pullbacks are also the same. And when the trade channel opens, when that candle closes, it's going to mark that, and I guarantee you when there's a pullback signal line, it'll be marked by Boomerang's algorithm. Okay, no trade here because the dynamic trend bands are sped far apart. They were matching here for a millisecond, and this trade did roll back lower, but it was a flat dynamic trend band in a rather strange configuration. Even still, 91.75 came down to 88.50, so technically that did work out as a 3 point trade, but I'm not going to mark it for us today. I'm going to just skip that one. Okay, so now we have a sell channel coming in, spiking way down here, a pullback to the signal line at 89.75 and a move down to 87. So this trade here, 90 is actually where the entry is, and 87. So it's exact 3 point move, a little bit tight, and you might not have got that one because it was very tight, but we'll just go on to the next one here. Now here we have all the dynamic trend bands matching, but we got a spike up here. And one rule I forgot to mention is we do not trade against what is called a fat channel. That's where you have, I think I did mention that, where you have 1, 2, 3 spike candles rolling up here. That's going to fatten out this channel. And if you get a pullback to signal line way up there, you're not going to take that trade. It's against the rules because we don't trade against these wide fat channels here. So no trade there. No trade here. Nothing going here until this tightens up to 1.5 points or crosses over. That's the only requirement, or if they match color. So here you have a new buy sell channel. You have a counter buy channel, so we're still waiting for the trade signal. Here's another sell channel here and a pullback to the signal line at 41.02 quarter, and down they go. So that's the next winning trade for today on this day. Same thing here. We got a new buy channel. We're waiting for a spread to tighten or for the dynamic trend bands to match. And now match color right here, 0275 and 00 half wasn't a tight enough spread before this pullback, the signal line occurred here. You see that? 3 even, 1 1/4. It was like a tick off from being a 1.5 spread, and it happened very quick. The market shot up, so no trade there. Crossover occur. Here's a sell channel. Here's a crossover occurring right here on the dynamic trend bands. It's going short here, and down they go. So that's the 5th winning trade in a row on this day. Very simple to use Boomerang. All you got to do is learn the rules and follow them. Sometimes that's the toughest part. Here's a new buy channel. Now look here. They were moving up here, but the dynamic trend band had plenty of time to match here, and this pulled back to the signal line occurred at 38.50, and they shot straight up. So another winning trade there. Now we roll into kind of a choppy, congested period here. And what happened here, you got a opening of a buy channel, and you got the matching dynamic trend bands, which suggests a continuation higher move. The prices at the band, and all I can do is I can't say where you got in or where the person trading it got in, but I'm just marking the signal line and showing you the Boomerang results here. The signal line was at 43 quarter, 43 even, 43 even. The low came in at 39.50, so it held a 5-point stop, and it actually had a counter sell channel. But if you got out of that trade, you would have got out with either a slight profit or at break even, or if you held the trade, 43 over here ramped up to 53. So we'll just call that another winning trade. Otherwise, you may have got out with a slight gain on the trade after the sell channel came in, break even, and then re-entered this trade here at 45.50 and saw them shoot up higher. You see that? So either way, I'm just going to mark that down as a 3-point gain on the trade. They shot straight up. Nothing. Well, you got a crossover here and you got a sell channel, but what you've got here is a steeper dynamic trend band that's moving up here. So on a trade setup like this, one of our rules of a steep dynamic trend band moving up here is that you would not normally take a trade like this, because it's trading, not only is it selling off down here and spiking lower. We got a 80.50 to 75. You got a 6-point candle spiking lower. You got one here at 77.50 down to 75, 2-point. So 6-point, a 2-point, and then here 76 down to 73 quarter, a 3-point. This would have been a very risky trade to take this here. And it shows there is a crossover with the line leaning up, but let's just say we took this, it would have got stopped out. So let's mark that as a stop out. I think that's fair. Although I would not have taken this trade normally, this type of setup. You got a market that's trying to scream higher. But either way, new buy channel, matching dynamic trend bands, pull back, the signal line is right here, and up they go for 3 points. Again, Boomerang scalps for 3 points and a 5-point stop. That's the system. It's very mechanical. As you get to own Boomerang, start trading with it, you'll easily discover ways to trade for 5-point moves or larger in some cases. Okay, that's it for today. I'm not going to take it all the way into the close, although there's another winning trade here. And it just, after the first, into the last half hour, you just want to skip the trade. It's too late in the day, just common sense. So we won't track the records from there. Okay, let's go to the next day now. Now this is the 25th. On that first day, and then I'll speed up after this, I showed 8 winning trades and 1 stop out, which I went out meticulously and was extremely accurate and honest with the exact reporting there. Okay, so here comes a new market opening up here. Nothing to do here off the opening. You usually want to let the first 5, 10, 15 minutes go by. Here's a fast spike to the downside, a pull back the signal line, and down they go. So on 225, there's our first winning trade of the day. You come over here and you got a classic, the other setup, I forgot to mention this. This is a classic example. We have 2 setups, which is a crossover with those conditions I mentioned. And again, we have another tape that specifically just talks about those. Very simple. And the other trade setup is when you have a steep dynamic trend band, a counter crossover that fails to change the shape and color of the dynamic trend band or 2. Then when you get a second arrow, you have to have an arrow. It has to have an arrow in the opposite direction. But then when you get a new continuation direction arrow, you trade a pullback signal line, and down they go. That's called a second level trade. So we have the first level Boomerang trades and the second level. That's it. Those are the only trade setups that are part of the system. Here's a crossover, a pullback the signal line, and up they go for 3 points. Market continues higher. No counter move here, so no second level trade. You see that? There's no counter arrow or channel or anything there. So we just let that one ride. Up here, they go into a sell signal and drop immediately off. Here's a pullback signal line way down at the bottom of this huge fat channel. No trade there. Waiting for the next trade setup. So you get over here, and what you've got right here is a new channel opens up down here and they start spiking up, and right here is where the dynamic trend bands match. So you get a pullback to 95, which shoots down to 91. You see that? And shoots up from 95 to 99. Let me show you that again. 95 here comes down to right here in the low at 91. 4 points, but it holds a 5-point stop. And 95 shoots up to 99.50 here. So it's another 3-point gain. So I've marked that one down here on my audit pad. Here you get a counter move, no trade set up here. Market's just whips on and spiking away. So one of the rules of Boomerang also, and you'll learn this as you come to these courses that I do every bi-weekly, you don't trade in this whipsaw stuff here. You don't need to figure that out. You just let it go. Just forget about it. Just let it pass. Wait till the dynamic trend bands tighten up and you get a nice new setup. Here's a new sell arrow here, and right here you can see the matching dynamic trend bands. Well, if that didn't happen quick enough on dynamic trend band number 2, then you just take this short here and you're good to go for 3 points on the downside. So I'll mark that there. Let's move on to the next trade. Here we go. They start opening a buy channel again, and you're just waiting for what? A little quiz here for you. That's right. You're waiting for the dynamic trend bands to match, or a tight crossover of 1.5 or less on the spread between the two before crossover, or an exact crossover. Well, what happens here is the crossover, the colors did not match until you got right to this pullback here. And the problem with this deal here is, and this is one of those things where you just have to deal with, that's the markets for you because they move very quick. You might have caught this if you saw the dynamic trend band number 2 blinking on and off. If not, then when they matched here, there was no trade set up except here. When they're getting ready to cross over, you can trade a pullback to the Cobra when that happens. So because that occurrence would have had to occur right around this area here, and it did not occur, so no trade set up there. Here's a direct crossover. Now, it doesn't, once they cross over, it doesn't matter if the dynamic trend band at number 2 has changed colors or not. Just a crossover has occurred, or they're within 1.5 each other. So there's the pullback to the sig line. You might have caught this one, but that fired off on the same candle as the arrow. So most likely you would have caught this one, and down they go for 3 points. 6 winning trades so far, and again, I'm going through it very rapid fire. Feel free to email me with any questions at mohan@daytradersaction.com, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Now here, again, is one of those questionable trades where we're really close to the final half hour, and you probably would have avoided this one. The trade didn't occur till right around 12:17 or so. And if you had taken this trade right here, though, the 17 quarter was the entry, and the high of the next candle was 20.75. So that actually was a winning trade there. See that? The blue dot appeared right in this line after the buy channel opened here. You had matching trend bands well in advance here. 17 quarter ran up to 20.75. So that was actually a winning trade there. These setups occur, it's amazing how Boomerang picks off these setups within micromanaged little areas of the market. It's quite interesting. So that was that session there. 7 winning trades and no stop outs. Fantastic day for traders trading 4 contract type accounts. Let's look at this here now. First thing you notice that you got a huge gap up movement in pre-market, so you got to be a little careful on these, but still the market opens up, makes a counter move. One of the best trade setups for Boomerang is these counter moves, a counter buy or a re-entry into the trend path there. A buy entry here, a pullback to the signal line at 38.50, and a jump up to 44.50. So on 228, that's what this day is. Or I think, let me see here. It shows 229. My mistake here. Shows 229. That's our first trade setup of the day there. On 229, Just double checking that here. Okay, 229. Here we have a crossover of the dynamic trend. And again, this pattern's really weird because of the big gap up on Globex. Even in spite of that, you have the crossover, and you have to have the dynamic trend band number one to be the same color as the trade channel you're in. I forgot to mention, at least that has to be the same color, but the dynamic trend band number two does not have to match. A sell channel, a pullback to the signal line here at 35.75, and down they come to 32. So second winning trade there in a row on 229. Here we go again. We got the new buy channel opening, dynamic trend bands matching, a pullback signal line here, here, and here, all produced a 3-point winner on that trade. So I'm marking that down. And like I said, we'll do the totals. Here they go again, reversing with big spike move, very volatile market over these last few weeks. Dynamic trend bands matching, a pullback to the signal line right here. And I'm not sure if this candle went higher after the entry, but at 38 went to 40, so not a big deal. And then 38 came way down here to 31, so another 3-point winning trade there. And again, as you trade with Boomerang, get used to using it. You can make larger scale trades, but the most important thing is to stick with the 3-point trades, get real good at that, and add more contracts. Okay, here's a buy channel opening up here. Right at this candle, the dynamic trend bands are almost matching, especially here though. The guaranteed they're matching here. 40-50 shoots straight up for the next winning trade in a row. And again, I'm just following the very simple rules. There's nothing here to allow an auditor like me in this case to make up trades or anything. There's no way. It's exact simple rules. Here's a sell channel here. The dynamic trend bands match right here. Even though the number one is above number two, it doesn't matter as long as they match here. A pullback signal line right here, and down they go. They get crushed on the downside there. 6 winning trade in a row on the 29th. Look at that. And here again, a buy channel opening up here, matching dynamic trend bands, a pullback to signal line, and they shoot straight up. So very active day with Boomerang firing a lot. You can't say that on every day. Sometimes there's time between trades, but today they're firing up really good on the 29th. Here's a counter sell channel with an arrow printing on the candle. That's required. A counter buy channel here, a pullback to the signal line down here, and straight up they go. You could also got them here if you missed it, but your risk goes up a little bit. But still, both of those produced 3-point winning trades there. We watch for the next setup here. Now here's a dynamic trend band. Here's a sell channel, right? Now here's a good example of a case where the spread, you can see right here, the spread, look at the cursor on the right there, 60 quarter, 61. So definitely a 1.5 spread there, very tight. And you can usually just eyeball it and see that the spread is very tight, but it's only a point spread there, so you sell this dot in the signal line right there, and down they go. Counter buy channel and a sell channel back into the trend, a pullback signal line right here, and down they go. Market just sold off and sold off and sold off till we got back to the last half hour trading here. New buy channel here, a pullback to the signal line, and up they go for another winning trade, and that completes that session for the day, right in the nick of time in that last half hour there. And there's another winning trade coming into the close, but we wouldn't take that one. We just let it go and move on to the next day. Go take the rest of the day off and wait for the next trade setup. So here we go. Here's a new day, and this is 3-2. This is this month, March the 2nd. Okay, so we got a big, what happened here? Maybe some gap down caused the disconfiguration of the dynamic trend bands. Not a big deal. It's rare, but it occurs once in a while. The market's opening right here. And you wouldn't take this trade because of the dynamic trend band. Where it was exactly at that time, I'm not sure why it's so steep like that. It doesn't really matter. Now everything's getting back in sync here. You got a sell channel here, a pullback to the signal. Well, first of all, you got a lot of whipsaw coming in here. So you got a sell channel. You got the DTBs matching right here at 25.75, and they come down to 23.75 for a 2-point move. 25.75 goes up to 29 even, holds that level, and comes crashing back lower here. So you're still holding short here, 25.75 to 26, and here they come down here and give you the 3 points. So again, kind of a whipsaw trade there, but it's still Boomerang kept you in the market with the exact rules. If you follow the rules, I get these emails sometimes. People want to fudge on the rules and tighten the stop and trail it and all that. Don't do that. It's a waste of time. You're going to get 90% winning trades. You don't need to play that game anymore. That's from the old school of trading. With Boomerang, I've revolutionized trading by creating a system that has 90% winning trades, as you can see. How many stop outs have we had? That's right, 1 out of 5, 10, 15, 27 trades. We've had 1 stop out. Don't worry about trailing the stop. Here's a new buy channel. Again, using the tightness of the spread right here, 16.75 to 15.50. So right in here, it's within a point and a half. Pull back the sig line right here, and up they go. Again, this is 3-2. I'm kind of rushing quickly, but at a nice pace through this audit to make sure you can understand exactly what's going on. Now here again, the Boomerang shot to the downside and used up all the pullbacks to sig line, but when you get an exact crossover and those are all used up, you can go ahead and trade at the Cobra here. So a Cobra trade right at this level here, this is the Cobra running through here. It's another one of our trend bands. 20.75 and held a 5-point stop and came crashing down there. So another winning trade using that modification rule that I told you about earlier. Here we go again with the new buy channel opening up here. The spread is still too wide, so we got to wait until it gets a point and a half or the trend bands match, and that's where occurs right in these 2 candles where the DTBs match and cross over. So a pullback to the sig line right here, 20.75, and up they go. Here's a new sell channel coming in here. Nothing happening here because the dynamic trend bands aren't matching. The prices fall immediately off and form a fat channel. Nothing here. Now, again, Boomerang's going to print up to 6 pullbacks to the sig line after the new channel opens, and after that, no more trades. And nothing occurred here on the sig line. No counter channel, just a straight hammering to the downside. And that's the market. That's not Boomerang. That's going to happen once in a while. If the market is working in configuration with Boomerang, you'll get the signals. You've seen how many we've had so far today. Here comes a new buy channel. Here's the crossover right here and a color match. So a pullback the sig line here at 8.75 shoots up to 13. You see that? That's why I use my cursor, because I can show you. Here is the buy at 8 or 9, and here's a run up to 13. No 5-point stop was hit. Up they go. Then they continue up higher. And again, people say, oh, well, you left a lot of room. It doesn't matter. You're still living in the old-fashioned idea. We're looking for winning trades. We're not worried about catching all the moves or making a killing. A lot of people are brainwashed by the media's proliferation of this idea of, I'm going to make a killing in the markets. Let me tell you something. 99% of the people out there, especially the new people, they don't make a killing, they get killed. So Boomerang Day Trader is designed to help both beginners and professionals not get killed in the markets and instead make a nice living at trading. So don't worry about whether the market kept going higher. Well, that's all fantasy stuff. Better to get in, make a winning trade, and if you want to make more money, you can just increase the contracts. What's the problem with that? Nothing. Here's a new sell channel coming in. Here's the dynamic trend bands matching at this point. Pull back the sig line, and down they go for a 3-point winning trade there on 3-2. So here we right away the dynamic trend bands are matching color. Here's a new buy channel. They're matching color immediately. A buy here, and up they go for 3 points. Again, you'll see this a lot in Boomerang. When you get in a trade, you make your 3 points, and they scream higher or lower in some case. doesn't matter. You don't want to really focus on that. Just focus on the winning trades. You'll be plenty happy. Coming into the final hour here is a classic, one of our second type of trade setups, a counter sell against the trend move here, where the candle prints or the arrow prints on the candle, a counter buy trading back into the uptrend, pull back the sig line at 1875, and up they go for 3 points. And again, we're coming into the close here, and we're past the half-hour point. Here's another big winning trade, but it was past the half hour, so I won't count that there. I'm trying to wrap our audit up as quickly as I can so it's not too boring for you to have to listen through all this. Here's a long, spread out, hammered down opening, very choppy whipsaw opening on the market, so you want to be careful here. But what happens, if you're a Boomerang expert, you'll know you get the downside move, you get the counter buy channel on a steep dynamic trend band, counter buy arrow on the close of the candle, counter sell, pull back to the signal line, and down they go for 3 points. This is a new day. This is 3-3 here, and that was a second level trade right off the opening. You just let them go to the downside. This is a third level trade, so we're not going to take this one. It won't matter. Tons of whipsaw on this day. Here's the dynamic trend bands. They're actually crossing over right here. You see that? But there's still a steep downside move going. And no trade here, although you could have argued that you could have traded that this pattern was reset, which it was with the crossover, and the matching dynamic trend bands here, 775 traded down to 5. So even still, 7 held the stop. It would have been a winning trade, but we'll just skip that one and move on to the next one. Now here's a dynamic trend bands match again, a pull back the signal line, and up they go for 3 points. Very simple what I'm doing here on this audit. Nothing complex or anything at all. Just very simple. Here's a new sell channel, waiting for the crossover or a match. And unfortunately, nothing happens till they fall off the wagon, so no trade there. Very volatile day, and you can see that in the reaction with Boomerang. When it gets real volatile, Boomerang's going to tend to stand aside and leave things to the caution side. Now what you got here, this is a classic example of the modification trade I told you about. Here's a new buy channel. Prices move up here and they use up all the pullback signal line before there's a matching dynamic trend bands or crossover. So that authorizes you, when there is an exact crossover, to trade at a pullback to the signal line, which is right here. I'm sorry, a pullback to the Cobra, which is this thicker line here. So it's an alternate trade, slight modification of the opening trade setups we have. 1 and 2, and up they go for 3 points. Very easy to recognize, very easy to learn. Actually, it's a piece of cake. You wouldn't believe it. Here's a counter sell channel. Here's a counter buy channel. This is all just whipsaw here. You can see how hard they're whipsawing, shooting down. One candle right here, 301.75, 308, 6-7 point candle, whipsawing down. This is whipsaw here. You don't really want to trade this stuff. The way you recognize whipsaw with Boomerang is so easy. These 3 point or more candles whipsawing against each other. Gray candle, red candle, red candle, gray, green. This counter back and forth isn't something you really want to trade. Even though you see a buy arrow here and a blue dot, look, it's red candle, green, green, red candle, red, green. It's whipsaw. It's the counter candles that's causing the algorithms to flip the pricing or the coloring on the candles, just basically warning you. Just wait till the next setup, and then you get a nice clear buy channel with matching dynamic trend bands here. The problem is once again on this candle, 3 1/4 shot up to 9, almost a 6 point candle. They continue higher, form kind of a fat channel already after a huge whipsaw counter channel move here. Better to just avoid this trade. It's too much whipsaw. Up they go again. They keep whipsawing. I remember this day is wild. Nothing to do here. It's just all whipsaw. You got to stand aside. Yeah, you know, here they're producing a winning trade here, but you'd just be standing aside from the whipsaw. Same here. They're all the way up here, right, on a whipsaw candle from 20 whipsawed all the way up to to 24.75 in this one candle, and then came crashing all the way back, and then went down 1, 2, 3, 4 candles to the downside on a big stretch out, creating a fat channel. If you turn your head to the left, you can see the big belly there. No trade there. Here's a buy channel opening up here, and we're watching for the dynamic trend bands to match, and that occurs right here and right here, and they shoot up for 3 points. Oh, I just noticed it's late in the day. It's a winning trade, but it's late in the day. Nothing to do there. I won't mark that one down. Let's move on here. We're getting close to finishing up here. We got 4 more sessions to do, so bear with me while we finish up this audit here. Here's a pre-market downside move, prior to the opening, a counter buy channel that does not disturb the dynamic trend band number 2, and a counter sell channel. So this is actually a second level trade back into the bias move at 21.50, and down they go for 3 points on 3-4. Notice no stop out trades, not even close. And then again, because it's a new session, they go down, they make a counter move that authorizes you to take a counter sell trade, even though this crossed over and that resets the pattern, but the pattern is a sell channel, matching dynamic trend bands, pull back the signal line, and down they go. See how that means? The pattern is reset if the dynamic trend bands cross over, but then as soon as they cross, they're matching, so you go short. Again, the whipsaw is mad, out of control starting out the new month. I remember this very well. It was just a short while ago. Nothing to do here. It's just wild whipsaw here. If you see after all this, and you see the dynamic trend bands matching on the new buy channel, you might have taken the chance and bought them here on the first pullback signal at 6.25. 6.25 held a 5-point stop and ran up 3 points. So that's no big deal. That's a good deal. But you might have avoided this due to the whipsaw. It's just there's a little discretion there. There's got to be a little discretion in anything you trade. Just to, if you can perceive that there's heavy whipsaw, gee, I don't think I'll trade. That makes sense. Here's a counter sell move, the arrow prints, counter buy move. These are some of the best trades. And then the pullback signal line, and up they go. These are often very... they're all the boomerang trades are great, but these counter buy and sell trades, don't be afraid to take them. They work. They work out really well. And then a big run up. What can you do? Who knew, right? Sell channel, crossover, pull back to the signal line. See, because the colors don't match, so they got to be spread tight or crossing over. So right here, 35 quarter runs to 37 quarter and then crashes. So another 3-point winner there. I worked for over 5 years to develop Boomerang, testing, retesting, trading live, trading at night on the simulator, retesting again. 5 years, not 5 months like a lot of these guys put this stuff out. They don't know anything about trading, and they just know how to build fancy looking little indicator things so they can sell it to you. Be careful. I'm telling you, they're out there. I know some personally, and they don't know anything about trading. They know how to build fancy looking trading looking systems, but they themselves don't trade or know how to trade. So be careful. 38.50 runs up here on a new buy channel here. This is, again, it's like a second level move here, because this one's not a trade, is a fat channel on these prices shooting up. Counter move, buy channel, up they go. So this is still 3-4. Got another winning trade there. We're rolling into the later part of the session, and all of a sudden the market peaks out up here, starts selling off, and that was it. It was all the way down, nothing going on, just straight down, smashed to the downside. And then coming into the last half hour here, nothing to do. Although this was a winning boomerang trade at 1 minute to the last half hour, I could record this, but we'll just leave it off because I mentioned not trading the final half hour. So let's move on to the next one. All you need is 3-4 winning trades a day, and you start putting on 4 contracts. You get used to that. You double it up to 8. You're going to have a great living. You don't need to make $200,000 a year doing this steadily. You don't need to catch the big moves. I hear that so much you wouldn't believe it. You don't need to do that. It doesn't really prove anything. The amateurs and the beginners like it because they only trade one contract. They're terrified of putting on more than one contract, so they try to catch the big move because then they can make more money on one contract. Anyway, a lot of whipsaw coming in here, but all of a sudden the dynamic trend bands are matching here. So you got to buy that pull back the sig line after the buy channel opens, and that's right here. And up they go for 3 points. This is 3.7. And again, I'm a little bit rapidly on purpose going through this audit here so you can see for yourself how well Boomerang works. Matching dynamic trend bands, pullback sig line, and straight crush to the downside. Pretty amazing. Again, the whipsaw continues. All you're doing is eyes on the buy channel. And when the buy channel opens up, and you can alarm this with up to 7 different sounds if you want, and when that opens, all you're asking yourself is, what is the position of the dynamic trend bands? Yes, we have bias indicators down here that are really wonderful, but you don't need to use those. You can just monitor the price action with the dynamic trend bands and the bias indicators down here. Here's the spread right here, but there's too much whipsaw on here. Just forget about it. Here's a sell channel coming in here, but whenever you see the dynamic trend bands match, you're going to want to take that trade, and that trade is right here, 92.75, and they come crushing down to 86 for the third winning trade in the row on 3.7. We're closing in on today's action here, which I'll show you in a minute. It's shooting higher here, nothing to do, forming a big fat channel. No trade. Here's a counter. Here's a trend up move with the dynamic trend bands crossing. A counter sell arrow that has to print. The candle closes, it prints. Then you keep your eyes out for a counter buy move. Here's a new buy channel and a pullback to the sig line right here at 6.25, which held down to 0.2, which held a kind of scary pullback, but it certainly held a 5-point stop for the next winner. And then they just keep climbing higher. Then we get a crossover sell channel, but the spread there's not happening. It's not tight. It has to, if there's going to be a crossover, they have to take the trade in that counter channel. It has to be a 1.5 spread here or having crossed over. So what happens here? Nothing. You got a buy channel opening up, but you got a crossover the dynamic trend number 2, and neither are matching, so no buy trade here, just waiting for a sell trade. Dynamic trend bands now are matching, but as soon as that arrow prints, yeah, they printed the arrow and the dot. I can tell you they printed at the same time, both alarms went off, and the candle just crunched. So there's nothing to do there. You just wait, and then right here you get that pullback sig line. You go short them on down the road, and that's the 5th winning trade in a row. Coming into mid-afternoon. Notice how there's no stop outs. They don't stop out. Boomerang is amazing. No second level trade here because why? That's right. The prices didn't reverse enough to produce a buy counter channel arrow, close that candle, print the arrow, and then give us a sell candle. It didn't happen, so nothing to do here. You got to just wait, but that beats sitting around the office, right? A lot of people sit around the office all day. Well, they don't sit around. They got to make 100 phone calls and set appointments and do all kinds of stuff. But with Boomerang, you just sit in your office and wait for the right trade setup. That's how you make your paycheck. So here's the dynamic trend bands crossing over here, a new buy arrow, and they just shoot to the moon here, and we're into the final half an hour. They've been rigging up the market in the last half an hour lately. Today, they tried to back them off, but there's some kind of weird game going on. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but they're trying to prop these markets up, and it's gonna end up being a kind of ugly when they finally sell off. Maybe tomorrow start selling off a little bit here. Okay, so here's the market opening up now. This is 3.8. This was yesterday's action, and in a very strong whipsaw fashion, they're just crunching lower, watching the DTBs here. Nothing to do. Now, this is 10 minutes into the opening. If you saw this sell arrow form here, you can short this pull back to the sig line because all the DTBs are matching, and that is normally a very effective trade. 65.25 dove down to 62, shot up to 66, and then came back down again to 61. So it just squeezed out a 3-point trade there. So that is a valid yet scary trade. You might have avoided that. It's within the rules. it's actually a second level trade. If you see that, it's actually a second level trade. But because of this whipsaw fiasco going on here off the opening, you might have avoided that one. Not a big deal. Now here's a good example of a buy channel's opening here. And look at this spread. Now right here, I put my cursor right on the top there, and you see that 65 half, 65 half, 64.75. You see that? 65 half on the far right, 65. That's within a point and a half on that spread, and you can usually just eyeball it and see, but that's a point and a half spread there. You with me? So you buy that, pull back the signal line, and up they go. Now, if for some reason this happened, you missed it, you can also, because they're crossing over and you don't have a pullback, you're permission to buy the Boomerang system to trade at the Cobra here as well. So you either took 69.75, 69.75, or the ideal thing would have been to have the crossover and the pullback to the Cobra here. Let's check something here. 69.50, 64.75. Oh boy. Just missed a 5-point stop by a millisecond there. But let's see what the spread is on this one here. 65 quarter, 64 quarter. Okay, the spread was tight enough here to buy this pullback right here. Okay. And I'm not trying to fudge the rules here. I'm just saying the rule is that the spread has to be a point and a half or less. So on this candle, the dynamic trend bands are spread 65.50 by 64 quarter, within 1.5 point spread. So you could have bought this pullback to the sig line right here at 69, and they came down to 64.75. 64 would have been a stop out. So either way, we're going to say that that trade made 3 points, and that's the way it went. So that's a second winning trade on that day in a very choppy whipsaw market. But if you just sit here and meticulously gauge these Boomerang trades, you'll have very good success. Here's a crossover, but the market is just all over the place. It's really crazy. Here's a fat channel formed for 1, 2, 3, 4 spike down candles. Forget it. There's no trade there. On the sell side, the hope is that you can wait for what looks like is going to happen here. It's a counter buy, whipsaw counter buy, which keeps the dynamic trend band number 2, still the magenta color, the bearish color, doesn't upset or cause a new reset, a new sell channel, a pullback sig line, and down they go. This is on 6/8. We're almost done with our audit of the last 2 weeks. Now, keep in mind, this is a third level sell, and although it panned out, technically in Boomerang rules we're not going to take the third level sells here, but it did pan out nicely. Just wait for the next one. Here's an arrow. Here's a dynamic trend band. It's spread together, a pullback to sig line, and they shoot straight up for the fourth winning trade in a row on this period here. Here again, we get one of these wonderful counter trend moves with the arrow printing, and then a new arrow printing on the buy side, a pullback to the sig line right here at 85.75, which shoots up to 90 quarter, giving us easily 3 points on the trade. Another counter channel, but we don't take third level trades, even though this trade did pan out. You know, you can do your own research. If you find that you're satisfied that they work out, say, 70% of the time on third level trades, then go ahead and put them in your arsenal. That's up to you. But the rules of Boomerang don't want to take those because you're just increasing your risk. I designed the rules to be as conservative as possible. Here's a spread of the dynamic trend bands tightening up here within a point and a half, pull back the sig line in the new sell channel, and down they go. We're still trading 3/8 here. Let's see what happens on the next one. Just a straight shot to the upside. Now, here's the thing. The dynamic trend bands change color. There was a pullback sig line, so even though this was a straight shot up, when they start matching color, you pretty much got to take those. They're going to pan out. So 43.02 quarter shot straight up to 07 half. So, that's the thing. The matching dynamic trend bands, otherwise known as the bunker method in super volatile times, is very, very reliable. So consider that you can always use that. If things get too volatile or crazy, you feel like your head's spinning, you can't figure out what to do, just stop everything and wait for exact matching dynamic trend bands and to pull back the sig line. And you'll find that you'll get 80-90% winners all the time, even though the market's going nuts. Here, unfortunately, this is one of those where I can't fudge the rules. It's exactly on the cusp of the color changeover. It might have blinked magenta. Some of you might have grabbed it and taken it, but the spread was 30, 50. The spread wasn't a point and a half or less, and the color didn't officially change till down here, so no trade. And it's one of those where you just have to get up from your desk, go take a walk, and go, oh God, because you missed it. And it's going down, 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 endlessly down, until we're saved here by the mini counter. Finally, a counter buy arrow that fails, a sell signal here, or a sell arrow here, a sell here, and down they go. But guess what? It's in the final half hour, so no trade. This is all done in that final part of the day. Just a weird sell-off into yesterday's action. Let's get back into today. This is today's trading action on Boomerang. As I recall, there weren't too many boom trades, but I headed out a couple hours before the market closed. So let's see what we got. The opening is right here, and down they go, smash to the downside. Here's a crossover here, new arrow, crossover, so you're all set to go, buying them right here, 65, 50, moving up here. We're just about done with our audit here, except I'm going to stop everything, total up everything. Counter sell against the trend, new buy, pull back the sig line, and up they go. Market this was a strange deal today. I kept telling people that it was like a rigged deal. I was getting emails and stuff. It looked completely fake to me. Just artificially pumped up to the moon after a really strong sell-off. It's like, oh really? So all of a sudden, people just can't stand to breathe another moment until they get long the market? What? Anyway, they kept going, no counter moves. Here we got a tight spread here, 87.50. 88. We could even, let's go back to the arrow and see what we got here. We got 87, 88.50. So actually right on the arrow candle, the spread was tight enough so that you could take the next pullback sig line, which is right here at 84, and down they came crashing down. And then we get a new buy channel, a crossover, and we're just waiting for, in this case, you see that because all the pullbacks of sig line got used up before it was an authorized trade. So when that happens, you can take a pullback to the Cobra on a crossover, which occurred right here. So you can take this pullback right here to the Cobra, and they shoot up for a winning trade. See how that modification works? It's real simple. If there's no correct setup on the DTBs, and all the pullbacks of sig line are used up within 6 candles after the buy arrow, and you get the crossover, you can go ahead and trade a pullback to the Cobra and use the Cobra in this one instant only as your entry level. We got a crossover here, down here, pull back to the sig line, and down they go for another winning trade there. Coming into the later part of the session, we get a buy arrow, and nothing here as prices shoot straight up. Now here's a place where you're not going to buy the Cobra, even though it may have worked out, and the reason is that they shot straight up, formed a fat channel. Cobra is when it's more like this last one I was showing you here, where the crossover occurs. It's like an earlier channel, a thin and early. Not compare that to this one. See, it's all kind of bloated and all that. Still, at the crossover here, well, even also the rule for that one is if you get the crossover, you usually want that pullback to the Cobra to occur within 3 to 4 candles at the most. It's not something you just 10 candles later you trade a pullback to the Cobra. That's not the rule. But even so, a pullback here did shoot up higher, but it was way beyond the stretch of the rules there. So no trade there. A lot of whipsaw today. Very heavy day with that upside rigging. Then they smashed him down. Then they tried to bring him back up. And lo and behold, that's it for the day. Well, this is technically this is a very strong downside candle crush. 3 to follow, so no trade at the bottom of this fat channel here, and we're into the last half hour, and that ends the session for today. So let me do the totals and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got the totals here and I'm going to do them on the recording here so you can see me meticulously go over these. The first trade, we had 8 winning trades. 3 times 8 is plus 24 points, minus 1 stop out for minus 5. So that's a grand total of plus 19 points gained. And I'll go over in a second and show you how that all works. On 225 we had 21 points. On 7 trades times 3 points is 21. 229 we had 11 winning trades. Wow, 11 winning trades times 3 points is plus 33 points. 8 points on 3-2 times 3 is plus 24 points. 3 winning trades on 3-3, that's plus 9. 3 times 3 points. 3 setups times 3 points. 6 winning trades on 3-4, that's 6 times 3 is plus 18 points. 5 winning trades on 3-7 times 3 is plus 15. 7 winning trades on 3-8 times 3 is plus 21. And 5 winning trades today on 3-9 times 3 is plus 15. Now comes the fun where we total them all up. Because on trade, like I said, on 224 we had 8 trades times 3 is 24 and 1 stop out. There was only 1 stop out in all of this. And I went through it meticulously with you. There was no stop outs. You gotta understand that about Boomerang. It'll amaze you. Now let me count the amount of setups. 9 setups, 7 setups, 11, 8, 3, 6, 5, 7, and 5. Okay, now I'll do some totals here. 19 plus 21 plus 33 plus 24 plus 9 plus 18 plus 15 plus 21 plus 15. Okay, that's 175 points. Per contract. And we've got 9 setups plus 7 plus 11 plus 8 plus 3 plus 6 plus 5 plus 7 plus 5. And that's important because you'll see in a second. 61 setups, that's how you gauge the commish. Because each setup is 1 trade. See what I mean? If you put on 1 trade, whether you make 3 to 5 points, it's 1 round turn. You see what I'm saying? All right, so the grand total is 175 points times $20 a point equals 175 times $20 a point is $3,500 per contract. On a blue-collar working trader's account of 4 contracts. Oh wait, I'm sorry. We got to. That comes later. Got to figure out the commish. Can't forget the commish. 61 trades times $4 per contract. $244. 66 trades, one stop out. Oops. 61 trades. Shouldn't pay much more than $4. It's $244. See how we whittle it all down to what we made. So the net result was $3,500 over the last 2 weeks minus $244, and the net is $32.56 per contract. And if you steadily traded a blue-collar working trader account times 4 contracts, you're going to come up with $13,024 after commission if you caught all those trades and took them all. And you saw that I skipped on some of them because they looked like they might have been a little too close to maybe really occurring, but all the others were crystal clear, and that shows a net of $13,000 over the last 2 weeks. And the most important thing too, another important thing I should say, is let's see, what is 66 times 98%? Or no, let's see. Well, one stop out of 61 trade setups. I mean, it's close to 100%, but it's not exact. You know, it's about 98%. I'm just guessing, but I'll have to look it up. It doesn't matter. It's just a percentage, which are usually reserved for investors, but I like to use them on our winning trade percentage. It was at least 98%. I think 97, 98%. That's pretty darn good. I say we guarantee 90% winning trades. Well, the last 2 weeks we just had 97 to 98% winning trades. So I really want to thank you for watching this audit today. And if you have any questions, email me at mohan@daytradersaction. Thank you.